What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be rating y'all's setups. Now when I say we, I mean myself and another YouTuber by the name of FishVisions. So without further ado, let's just hop on this Zoom call and start rating some setups. Alrighty, y'all, we are here with my boy FishVisions. I'm not really sure which camera to look at, but this is FishVisions. A lot of you guys who watch my channel also watch him, and you might as well just go check out his channel. It's literally linked in the description. We're gonna be rating some setups today. Are you ready, bro? Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go. Let's get it.
It's an African Bullfrog 20-gallon. So
right.
It's an African Bullfrog 20-gallon. You want to start this one off for me?
I think we can go at it. So far, it looks decent. I don't know what the size of the frog is, but it's probably not huge. I mean, as in too big for this tank. 20-gallon long. Decent clean water dish. Got 2 thick plants over in each corner. Appears to be a heat basking bulb over on the top left.
Got you.
And that might be a live plant up on the left, but looks like a good eco earth substrate, keeping it humid. So I'm liking it so far.
I agree. I definitely like their substrate choice. Eco earth's always a good way to go. Water bowl wise, pretty decent sized water bowl. It all depends on the size of their frog. For African bullfrogs, I typically go with as much water as possible because they love to spend a lot of time in their water bowl. But they could have a little tiny frog and that'd be a giant dish for it, so it's hard to tell. Other than that, it looks like a pretty dope setup. I'm gonna honestly rate this guy just to get started, since this is our first setup. I don't know how everybody else's enclosure is gonna look. I'm gonna probably start with I'm gonna keep it even at a 5 out of 10. I'm not trying to low shoot it or anything like that. This is our first setup and I want to get started. What about you?
I don't know. I can't go with it. Like, it's just against my will. I can't go solid numbers. I mean, unless it actually deserves one. But I'm gonna say it's a proper enclosure. I think there could be a live plant in there. I'm not sure, but overall, I'm liking it. I'll probably give them a 6.5.
All right, that works. So now, I guess without further ado, time to move on to a fish setup, because can't have just reptile setups when we've got a fish YouTuber on here.
There we go.
The bottom is a 55, and there is one Oscar in there, temporary until I get a pond. Has a 75-gallon marine land filter, has a 200-watt heater and thermometer, and has a few hiding spots. And then there's more to the description. I can't really tell what all's going down there. I guess we're supposed to be looking at the bottom enclosure.
Yeah, and then he said the one on the top is a 75-gallon turtle tank. 50-gallon filter, has sand, rock sculpture, heat, UVB.
That makes a little bit more sense. That bottom one looks a little bit better in my opinion than the top one. I was kind of confused there for a second.
Yeah, so I can't see the Oscar on the bottom one, but that probably means it's not huge. So yeah, that's probably fine.
Oh yeah.
I'm going with they all have lights. No live plants, what I'm seeing so far. But the turtle tank only has, I don't know, if there could be a UVB bulb. That could be like, what would you call that? Like a mercury vapor bulb? Is that what they call it? Yeah, one of
the mercury vapor bulbs is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Honestly, with their setup that they've got going there, I'll let you rate this one. This is more of your field. I'll let you rate this one, and then I'll go kind of based off what you do.
All right, I'll start with the bottom fish tank. Oscar, they can get pretty big, which is why eventually you'll want to have a pond for it. Okay. But it's looking pretty good. He has hiding spots. He has sand. Looks like a decent filter. I can see he has an aerator in the back. You have a light in there, so might as well add some live plants to it.
Exactly.
But overall, it looks. It's a decent setup. It's a proper size. Might spread those caves out a little bit.
Yeah, I honestly agree with everything you said there, especially considering that if you've got a light, you might as well throw some plants in there. I think that'll really help kind of spice up the coloration as well. So.
Definitely. So for a rating on the Oscar tank, it's a proper with things I want to add to it. So I'll give this one a 6.4.
6.4. Do you want to rate the turtle tank as well?
Sure. Looks like, actually, I don't see the filter. I see something in the back, like on the bottom on the right. Yeah, probably some sort of filter. So I'll assume that's a proper filter for this tank. So if that's true, it actually looks like I don't know what kind of turtle. I don't think he said, but it looks actually like a musk or mud turtle. Probably because it's a smaller turtle. I mean, maybe add some live plants. I mean, it's sometimes optional with turtles because they could either mess them up or eat them. So it's up to you if you want to deal with that. It looks like he has a good enough basking spot. So I'll give this tank 6.6.
Alrighty, so for me on the bottom Oscar setup, I'm gonna go with a 6.3, and then on the top setup, on the turtle setup, it's kind of hard to tell what all's in there. As you were saying, I do see what looks like a filter that's back there. With turtles, having a filter and proper lighting are probably the two most important components. And as long as you've nailed that, then you're already gonna be a little bit better off with keeping turtles. I'm probably gonna rate this one a 5.5. Alrighty, now that we have covered 2 enclosures, well, actually 3 technically, we're going to go to the next reptile setup. This young man actually bought a cane toad from me, and I'll pop up the picture like somewhere here. It'll be somewhere there. I'll pop up a picture of the cane toad. He actually bought a cane toad from me, and he had this whole setup for this specific toad. Now, for a cane toad, I really like this setup. Same sort of thing. You want a little bit of a good moisture in there. Looks like he's got Eco Earth on the bottom. I see a really uniquely set up water bowl. I see some like slate stone. I can't tell if he's like hiding a filter in that, or if that's just so they can get in and out. All in all, that looks pretty dope. I see a little hide on the left side, and then some looks like monkey grass or something like that. And for one male cane toad, that looks like a pretty dope setup. And I'm glad to know that my toad's going to a good home. What do you have to say?
I'm liking it so far. You got a good nice hide in the back, probably good humidity with Eco Earth, live plant probably, what appears to be, and it looks like you have good lighting. You got your cables in the back. My only thought is just, I mean, like, yeah, he could get up like on that water dish with the slate, but I don't know. I might choose some sort of, maybe just because there you can get one large round rock that could sit there.
Yep.
You could maximize the space out of that water dish.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
So maybe move a few slate pieces, but overall I like it. So for a proper enclosure, I'll probably give this one. I might just stick in the 6s today. Someone's got to bump it up to a 7. You can see soon, but
yep.
I'll give this guy maybe a 6.8.
6.8. I'm thinking it could be better, but it could definitely be a whole lot worse. The only thing that I personally, especially as a beginner setup, would change is maybe just maximize the space on that water bowl, as you were saying. The slate is a cool idea, but it does take up a lot of space. Other than that, it's a pretty dope setup. So I'm going to have to go with probably a 7.1.
All right.
So a little higher there, a little higher. All right, now moving on to a fish setup.
So let me see if we got some sort of... All right, he just says, this is my tank. It looks like you have a proper filter. My guess is that this... I can't tell if it's a 10. It looks like almost like a 15 tall or something like that. Because it looks slightly taller than a 10-gallon. But you do have, looks to be a guppy, maybe 2 guppies and 2 goldfish. You have your heater, probably a filter. I'm assuming a filter near the top. Hopefully there is. So some things I would change. Your hide on the bottom is not terrible. You might want to get something a little bigger because there is a lot of open space, especially because it's a tall and not a long tank. And I'd probably, just for aesthetics, switch out the white gravel for probably a sand or at least nicer looking pebble. I like your little additions to contrast with some bigger and smaller pebbles, so I'm liking it so far.
I do agree with a lot of what you had to say there, and I definitely think I can't tell if it's like a really close shot of a 10-gallon or if it is just a taller enclosure. I do see it looks like a heater strung across the back. The water looks really clear. I will definitely give you that. The water is straight see-through on that enclosure. And I do see the 2 little goldfish. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but would you recommend, and maybe they're out of frame, would you recommend him having more than 2 guppies in that enclosure?
It's really up to the person, because I can see at least 1 guppy, and there's something on the top right. Like with guppies, you could have like you could have 3 or 4 that eventually breed, so it depends if you want that.
That is true.
Most stores will sell them as males and females, so you can tell if you want them to breed or not. I'd almost even prefer I prefer a longer tank with goldfish, because as you can see, they're a little further near the bottom.
Yep.
And normally, at least those are some decent size, probably comet goldfish. So at least like a 20-gallon tank. But the guppies, you could add maybe 1 or 2 more if you want to. I'll just give my rating. I'll probably give it with me wanting a longer tank, maybe add some live plants, change the substrate, different hide. I'll give him a 6.3.
6.3. I'm thinking 5.5. And I guess we'll move on to the next enclosure.
Next reptile setup coming out.
3 hours later.
Alrighty, we are moving on to a reptile setup with our animals. I got a little leopard gecko here. What do you got?
I got my little Russian tortoise Hawkeye here.
Bro, look at that dude. All right, let's move on to our next reptile setup, y'all. Wow. Okay, I already like what I see, y'all.
All right, there we go.
They said, here's my tram for the enclosure review. This, by the way, this one's coming from Steven. They said it was an attempt at building a foam setup with a waterfall, but the waterfall leaks and they're going to be redoing it soon. So I'm not sure what animal will be going in it, but even though they're redoing it soon, it looks actually pretty sick. It looks like a pretty dope setup, waterfall or not. I already see the foam background there. I see some plants. It looks like live plants. I see a really strong LED light on the top.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a really nice setup so far. What do you have to say about it?
I have to agree. He made this whole setup?
I believe so.
It looks like he has enough foliage just covering up. I can see the little waterfall on the back. Bunch of areas to climb, so I don't know what he's going to put in this.
Okay, that's what I was saying. There are a ton of vines and stuff.
Yeah, whatever he puts in this, I hope it looks dope because this is a great enclosure.
Dude, that thing looks like absolutely insane, to say the least.
Yeah.
Honestly, just right away, I'm going to give you a rating of 8.5. 8.5. That's the highest I've given so far, and that's what you're getting. What about you, bro?
I'm going pretty good. I'm going to be in the 8s too. I'll give him an 8.3.
8.3. Gotcha. Alrighty, bro. Great setup. Moving on to a fish enclosure. Alrighty, we are now moving on to our next fish enclosure.
This one is just from Anthony. That there's pretty much no description, but shout out Anthony. I'd assume this is looks like a 40 to 60 gallon tank. It looks I don't want to falsely identify, some sort of like shark on the bottom left.
Oh yeah, I see it.
I don't know if it's a hyphen shark, but it kind of looks like one, and almost looks like some sort of parrotfish on the top. But either way, whatever is in here, the middle hide is fake, but it kind of goes well with everything that's in here.
I agree. It kind of has it fits so perfectly in the center of the enclosure with all the plants around and stuff. It does look pretty good.
Yeah, you can have a fake hide, and it's not as important. Like if you don't want wood, it can discolor the water, and especially when you still have live plants. He has what I see a good sized light, a good sized filter in the back. Let's see, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 live plants.
And hey, the water's clear. That's always a plus.
Crystal. Yeah. So this is probably going to rank pretty high for me. What about you?
I agree. This is honestly on my ranking list. It looks like a really well set up and built enclosure. Just like with any enclosure we're going to get, there's always going to be something that I might change, but that's more of a personal preference thing. So true setup wise for the animals inside that are being housed, I'm going to honestly shoot for an 8.3.
Right. I'm thinking more in the 7s. I love the setup. I'm probably going to give them a 7.7.
7.7. Good stuff, bro. Keep up the good work. We are now on the next reptile enclosure. It's a enclosure for 2 green anoles. It's a 10-gallon tank. So a 10-gallon bioactive enclosure for 2 green anoles. Right off the bat, I have a lot that I do like about this setup. I love the choice of branches or vines that they have going across there. Then, of course, I love that they built a background. Backgrounds stand out so much, in my opinion, compared to just a straight, bare glass enclosure. And for 2 green anoles, a 10-gallon works pretty darn well. I assume they've got their heat and UVB. I see a light on the top, so I'm going to assume that's the heat and UVB and everything like that. What do you have to say?
I'd agree. So it looks like probably all of the plants in here are live plants, so I'm liking that.
Oh, yeah.
Got a bunch of hiding areas, especially with that plant on the right. Got a nice, there's the one anole right there in the middle on the branch. So they're definitely using it. A good hide up on the top left. A good amount of substrate, not too much, not too little. So I'm liking it. I'm probably gonna have to rate this. Knolls aren't my exact favorite, but of course I'm rating the tank. So I'm gonna give you somewhere in the 7s. I'll give you a 7.5.
7.5. I'm actually going to shoot the exact same 7.5. Dominic Ramirez, great setup, especially for your 2 Knolls. Keep it up, bro. Keep it up.
There we go.
Alrighty, we are on the next enclosure, y'all. The next setup. Just start it off. Go ahead.
All right, so let's see. Is there a quick description? It's just their beta fish tank from Selena. She actually won a small giveaway from me a little while back. But this is her beta tank. A good amount of substrate. Just on my knowledge of the tank, I can't tell how big it is. It looks like it has a light. You got a few miscellaneous rocks and things, one big fake plant in the middle. In all, wouldn't be a bad setup. I'd advise probably no tortoises running away. If the fish tank is at least 2.5, some people debate 5-10 gallons. I'm okay with the minimum being 2.5. So if it's at least 2.5, there you go. But substrate wise, white sand looks pretty good. I'd probably just replace that first plant, maybe with some sort of rock hide with a hole in it that they can kind of hide in.
Yep.
And then maybe like 1 or 2 plants in like the back corners. So basically just switching the stuff in for more live and realistic things is just what I would do.
Gotcha. And that's kind of the same thing that I shoot with. I love the live plants and stuff, but all in all, for just a straight up beta setup, I've seen betas kept in a lot worse. So people keep them in the little 1-gallon fish bowls or whatever. So I'm going to have to give them, I'm going to go straight 5, just straight 5.
Assuming it's a proper tank, just switching up some of the plants, nothing huge you have to do. I'll give you a 6.2.
6.2. Good stuff. Thank you for sitting in your enclosure. Let's move on.
There we go.
All right, we are on our next setup. Now, this one does not have a description, so I'm not exactly sure what is in it, but based off of looks alone, it looks like a pretty good setup. I see, what is that, a UVB or LED strip, and then some sort of heat or maybe a mercury vapor bulb or something like that, and a little solo dome fixture up there. I see a whole lot of decor. It looks a little cluttered, but if you've got something like a smaller lizard or like a young bearded dragon or something like that, it looks like a pretty good setup. What about you?
Right, I'm liking it. It appears, my guess based on the width of the thing, I'm guessing it's a 20-gallon. I would definitely agree. I like it. It looks like you do have a few live plants in here, so that's good. Looks like you're going for sort of a more desert species animal with a reptile, what you have in here. You do have a good amount of climbing branches. You got probably a heat bulb over on the left. I think it is just a little crowded. So if I were to remove anything, if anything, you do have a few live plants. You have a few fake plants. In all, looks pretty good. I just remove a few things. There are a lot of stuff on the right side that I think you could move.
Yeah,
because there's like 2 dishes. And there's also a dish in the middle. So maybe remove one of those dishes, just declutter it just a little bit, but otherwise I like it. I'll give this, I like it. It looks pretty good. You have some live, some fake plants. I'll give this, hate to give a rookie score, but a solid 7.
I'm probably going to go with a 6.5. I like the setup. And once again, we're kind of just assuming that whatever is inside the enclosure is going to naturally just be okay in it. Heck, it may even be a leopard gecko setup. If you look closely, it kind of looks like you might have some sort of animal like that. But all in all, I'm going to rate a 6.5. Alrighty, moving on to our fish. Alrighty, you want to lead this off for us or what?
I say you take a lead on this fish tank.
I got you. First of all, I'm going to say right off the bat, I love the centerpiece, the wood. I don't know what kind of wood he has there. I can't tell if it's like spider wood or mopani or some other wood that I've never even heard of. But I love this centerpiece that he's got going on there. And I love how he's got the plants around. Like it looks like a grass field around a tall tree or something. That looks absolutely insane. And then, of course, crystal clear water. I also see what looks like the filter or something in the right-hand side, the very back right. Honestly, that's a crazy setup. And some of his other setups look pretty dope. I may pop them up. I'm not too sure. But that's a really nice setup. What do you think?
Yeah, this is definitely going to rate pretty high. I love that wood piece, especially. I don't know what kind of wood it is because, I mean, unless you're doing a ton of water changes, it isn't really discoloring the water at all. You have a good amount of substrate. I can't tell or if it's just like a thick rim tank, but you have a nice area of grasses up in the front. I like the actual rock that you have in there. It goes very well, kind of like a whole sort of ancient looking theme is what I'm getting a vibe from. So everything in here seems proper, and I don't even see a fish in here. So whatever is in here is probably happy and living right in here.
Living life, bro. Straight vibing.
Straight vibing.
Exactly, bro. Honestly, just right off the bat, I'm gonna rate it an 8.9. That's an 8.9 all the way.
I'll give him a 8.6.
8.6. Alrighty, bro. Good setups, dude. Good setups. Keep it up, Sebastian.
Good up, Sebastian. That's amazing setups.
Next setup. Here we go. Alrighty, so this setup is coming from Andrew Kirby. I know this guy, I believe, has been subscribed to me for a good while now. And this is a carpet python setup. Now, carpet pythons are kind of a complicated species, in my opinion. I don't know a whole lot about them, though. That's kind of why I say they're complicated. To some people, they're probably not. But right off the bat, he looks like he's got a giant enclosure. And for carpet pythons, he's got a lot of room for them to go towards the ground and to go higher up, so they can kind of choose which way they want to go. I see a nice big old like piece of wood or branch kind of sticking out there. It looks like a pretty good carpet python setup. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I'm liking it so far. I'm not very knowledgeable or at all on carpet python specifically, but like there's a bunch of areas for them to climb on, low and high. Looks like you have some sort of like, is that like a hollow hide like at the very bottom? Is that what that is?
I can't tell. Maybe it might be,
or maybe it's like stuck to the bottom or say in the back end, but either way, or maybe just it's probably like a pile. I think that's just a pile of dirt. It's just raised a little bit. But either way, it looks like you do have probably some live plants in here. I think I can almost see the snake. I'm not sure, but I do like that. I like the background. I'm gonna give this a solid 7.8.
7.8. Yeah, and I like this setup a whole lot. Personally, I'm not very, very knowledgeable on carpet pythons. I know a very little bit about them, so I can't, put my opinion too much because I don't want to lie to you guys. But out of just the looks of the setup, being that it's a large enclosure, there's a lot of room on the bottom and a lot of room on the top, so the animal can kind of control where it wants to go. I'm going to go with 7.9. 7.9.
There we go.
Alrighty. Moving on to a fish setup. Alrighty. This one comes from Curtis Harton. I see some angelfish.
There we go.
And I see some mollies or platies.
Yeah, so it looks like we have 3 angelfish, 1 molly, 1 platy. There are a few things I'd probably point out. It appears to... It might even be a 10-gallon. Those decorations look a little small.
Okay.
So definitely I would advise moving to something probably at least a 20-gallon, 20 to 40, especially because you have angelfish. They need a little bit more room. But it appears, I'm assuming these plants are live plants. They kind of look like it. Some sand might look a little nicer. But also with the decor you have, at least these 3 I see in the front, as you can see, most of your fish are up near the top of the water column, and I don't see your decor options really giving much value to them, especially to the angelfish. Your angelfish aren't really going to fit in those. But yeah, that's what I got.
And honestly, I agree. The only thing I do like personally, the substrate with the decor, I think it looks kind of cool. And as opposed to when it comes to them having enough space or not, it does look like a 10-gallon, but I can't tell for sure. I'm just gonna go with my boy FishVisions over here. I'm gonna trust that he knows. He knows better than I would because he's a fish guy. I like this setup, especially what really catches my eye the most is the bottom with the decor. I see a heater on the back as well. I believe angelfish are like a tropical fish, so they want a little bit more warmth. I like that setup. All in all, I'm gonna rate it. I'm gonna go with a 6.9. What about you?
I'm gonna definitely be probably in the lower mid 6s. I do agree. I do kind of like how your decor, your plants, and your rocks kind of match. And you got a little alligator down there.
Yeah. What is it? Larry? What's your alligator's name? Larry?
Yeah, they named it Larry the alligator. I'd probably eventually move it. It is a little crowded. You have at least 5 fish in maybe a 10-gallon. But I'm gonna probably give this a 6.3.
6.3.
Yeah.
Pretty good ratings. Pretty good setup. once again, y'all, it's kind of hard to tell exactly how big your enclosure is, especially if it doesn't have a description with it or anything like that, just because we're kind of just guessing based off the image. So bear with us if we're wrong, but let's continue on. So this one comes from Animal Lover. This is, I believe you submitted an enclosure in my previous rating subscriber setups video. I will say, Animal Lover, whatever your true name is, it's obvious that you love animals, to say the least. Especially based off their last setup. It was a really dope setup. But this here is a setup for their 2-year-old female ball python. It's a 120 by 60 by 90 centimeter setup. Don't ask me to convert that to inches because I couldn't tell you. But for one female ball python, wow. Like, wow. That's all I got to say right now.
Yeah, I'm really liking it so far. Like, you've got all your live plants, you got your proper lighting right there. Yeah. You got enough hides on the bottom. Very, very well done. Definitely put a lot of work into this one.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, dude. A whole background. I see all their live plants. And honestly, like, as a pet owner, I couldn't ask for like a better ball python setup. Like, there's room up high. A lot of people think ball pythons like to just stay on the ground the entire time. They'll actually traverse and change heights in their enclosure, if you will. I don't know if they have a heat pad or if they're using heat lamps or what's in that cage up there. I can't tell if that's like some sort of heat emitter in that little screen cage inside. It's kind of hard to tell. But overall, setup wise and especially look wise, it looks like a really dope setup. And as you were saying, they definitely put a lot of hard work into it. Like, easily, I'm going to give them probably a 9. 9's kind of shooting it kind of high, but we're going to give it to them a 9. I'm going to give them a 9.
All right. I mean, I'm not sure how big your ball python is, but because I don't know. I personally don't know. I haven't owned a snake before. But to me, some of these branches look a little small for... Okay. Like there are some big ones.
Yeah.
But like,
no, I see. I actually didn't. I actually almost overlooked that. That's actually pretty good.
But I mean, you can just assume that the snake will go on the ones where he feel fits or she feel fits to.
Yeah.
But just based off your whole setup, I'll give you a solid 8.9.
Great setup, Animal Lover.
There
if you got more, if we do a part 2, continue sending in your enclosures because you got really solid setups. Without further ado, let's move to the fish setups. Lead us off here, FishVisions. Lead us off, bro.
All right, so this one, just to give you a little credit, it's a 5-gallon planted tank from, I think it's Samuel's Adventures. So we got a 5-gallon, very good. He didn't list, at least what I saw, what's in here because I don't actually see a fish, but we could say it's either some sort of a shrimp or a beta or tetra tank. But either way, based off of it, I'm just going to judge off of, because I don't see anything huge in here that would offset it too much, so I'm just gonna go off the plain setup. You have a good size filter in there. You got a moss ball. Betas like to sometimes even like sit on those moss balls a little. So you got your little, I don't think it's not, I forgot the name of it. It's not actually called bamboo, but like the bamboo sort of looking plant in the back side.
Yeah.
Your rock hides, they kind of fill the tank a little more than some of the ones we've seen. So I'm liking that so far.
Yeah, and I agree on what you're saying. Now, one thing I would personally add, and it's kind of bugging me, is I see the bamboo shoot on the left. I also would do one on the other side, have them like one on each side of the little rock pile that they got going on there. I think that would look pretty cool. I do like that they have a moss ball in there. I love the way moss balls look. So I think that's a really good setup, a really nice looking setup, especially if you were to have that sitting on a desk or countertop. It would really illuminate whatever room it's in. So pretty good setup, especially for a 5-gallon enclosure. Good use of space as well. I will add that. Personally, I'm going to rate this a 6.6.
I'll probably give him, because he does have live plants and he does have mostly live decor.
Yep.
So I'm gonna probably give him a little higher than average. I'll give him a 6.7.
All right, y'all. We are moving on to our next reptile setup. We're actually slowly coming to an end on all of our setups. All right, this one's coming from Luke, just straight Luke. I think it's for a bullfrog though. Luke, right off the bat, like, I love this setup. Like, you can tell it's a paludarium. You can see that there's half land, half water. They've got some very vibrant live plants growing. I see the tannins in the water. To some people that bothers them. To me, that really adds like that rainforest feel.
Yeah.
And based off this one photo that I have sent to me, that looks like an absolutely dope setup. I don't know what else to say except it looks like insane, in my opinion. What about you?
Right. Yeah, like with the water tint, I really like it. Like some people it could throw it off. Like
Yeah.
if it's like dirty, like that throws off, but it looks really good. It does add that nice vibe to it.
Yeah.
Looks like you have some nice moss. Definitely a bunch of probably plants that it hides on. If it doesn't want to stay in the water. It could be.
I don't know. It looks like maybe a 20?
Yeah, it's probably a 15, 20 gallon long, so definitely a good size. Probably what I'm seeing, all live plants. So I can't really say much about this. I'll give my rating now. Probably in the solid sevens. I'll give this guy a good one. I'll bump you up a point. Let's go with 7.6.
7.6. Yeah, and I really do like this setup, especially because I get like a solid like rainforest vibe. That like I love the rainforest personally, and I can tell that these plants are probably more than likely live. And I like the tint on the setup. All in all, it looks like a really nice setup. All in all, I'm gonna rate this probably I want to say 9.5, but that's shooting it a little high. Let me go with a 9.
All right.
All right, awesome setup, bro. All right, we are on the fish setups. First of all, I like the shoes. I don't know. Some people probably like bugs the heck out of them, and they probably would think it's stupid. But I like the idea with like the shoe boxes and the pair of shoes above the fish tank. Now, when it goes to the fish tanks themselves, one looks a little foggy, I guess you could say. The one on the left-hand side. I just got a text. Why would someone text me right now? It looks a little bit foggy on the left-hand side.
But one thing I think I noticed is that there's a log up there. So I see something there. There might be a turtle in there.
Yeah, let me check. I don't
I see something big, like more round on the top.
Yeah, I was not sent a description on this one, so it looks like it might be a turtle up there. I think a turtle, and I think there's
probably is. It's smaller, so it's probably some sort of mud or musk turtle is gonna be my guess. I can't see 100%, but you do have a few goldfish down there. I'll give it proper size for goldfish because it is probably mainly a turtle tank. Yeah. So turtle may try to eat them eventually. I don't know, but it looks like you do have a few live plants, sort of covering those rocks. Looks like your turtle can easily enough get up on that wood, so that's perfect. Now you do have a good depth of water for that. Just assuming that's a turtle tank. I'll give him a 6.6.
6.6. Seems like a pretty good review. Honestly, I agree. Probably I'm going to go somewhere, might shoot a little bit higher, probably like a 7.6. Main reason why I'm going a little bit higher is that, first of all, I love the little idea that they have of putting the shoes there. It's kind of like uncommon. Some people might not like it, but I kind of like that. And then I like the change in levels. You got the taller one on the left, and then it kind of goes down to the shorter one on the right. I kind of like the change in levels there. It just adds this kind of like sleek vibe. Other than that, pretty dope setup. I'm going to go with, as I said, a 7.6. All right, this setup comes from Jasper Ferguson. I know you've been subscribed for a while now. Now your description says it's a 12.5 gallon enclosure containing killifish. And I don't know anything about killifish. They have it spelled Killi. It looks all in all planted and everything like that, like a pretty good setup. I'll let you put some of your opinion in on it because I don't know exactly what fish he's talking about.
Yeah, so I don't either. I literally just looked it up. So
okay.
There's a variety of species, but it's a more small fish, very colorful. Looks like it ranges from, I don't know, an inch and a half to maybe 2.5 inches. You definitely appear to have a good tank for it. You have your proper lighting. You have some floating plants at the top. The top ones, I can't tell if they're fake or real, but most of yours are real, so I'll assume it's real. 2 moss balls on the side. I like it. You got your white sand. I like that stone. I like that stone color. You have that one plant going to the top, so it kind of fills that middle space of the tank. And overall, I'm really liking it. Looks like everything's thriving, crystal clear. This might be one of the better fish tank setups I believe I've seen today. So I'll give this guy, for it being a 15-gallon tank, I'll boost you up. I'll give you like an 8.
8. I think that's a pretty solid review. I'm going to probably go with an 8.2 on this one. It looks like a really good setup personally. Overall, just a setup wise with the plants and the moss balls and the choice of substrate. It looks really nice. It all blends really, really well together. And once again, I'm going to go with an 8.2.
I just looked it up and it looks like you can keep at least 2 killifish in like a 5-gallon tank. So
Okay.
I don't even see any in here. So with the fact of that, I'm gonna assume that's a good size enclosure for
You're
it.
straight like vibing, bro. So heck yeah. I think that's all the setups for today's video, y'all. Now, if unfortunately you did not see your setup on my video, guess what? There's still hope. You can go check out FishVisions' video. Links in the description. Go check out his video if you did not see his setup, because we reviewed more setups on there. And I mean, if I'm not mistaken, there were some pretty good setups, right?
There were some very good setups. Y'all guys have to check those out.
Exactly. So definitely go check them out, y'all. FishVisions, bro. Fist bump real quick. Boom. Thanks for helping me out with this rating my subscriber setups video. We might have to do part 2, y'all. Love y'all so much. I will see you all in the next one. See y'all. Peace. I'm just gonna do a little fist bump. I don't even know how to end it, you know. Woo! Bruh. What? Who?
What?
I think we got a hacker on our laptop. See y'all.